The roommate phase. The first step to getting past that roommate phase is, again, to begin.
You know, there's times that we think, well, I just want a prophetic word from God. I just need to hear from him. Where really it would just be beneficial if you just remembered what he already did and let that speak to you. Because we're so focused on the future.
On the next thing, on that. And psychologically, baby, we never arrive. I saw something and it just gave me so much perspective. And it was like one day you're going to look back and you're just going to be thankful for the days when you were all alive.
Oh, wow.
And we take that for granted.
Oh, wait.
He did?
He responded. He said, hey there, I've had several crashes in both sports where I fit my head. Edit. I always have a helmet on.
This guy's really funny and sweet.
You're my sky, you're my blue. I've been sticking with you.
Welcome back to the Good Love Co podcast. My name is Paulina.
And my name is Josh. And here we believe that you were created for good love and it's worth healing and fighting for.
Which is why we create resources and begin conversations so that you can experience healthy connections. So if you are single, dating, engaged, or married, this space is just for you. Today, we really want to jump right in, honey, because
we're going to jump right into the topic.
I feel like our intros are a little too long, so we're switching up the format. Let us know what you think.
Getting a little bit more on the banter side later in the episode.
So we're jumping into our topic today, which I think is a good one. If you feel that you're stuck in the roommate phase, you're going to want to stick around. And if you don't feel like you're in the roommate phase, you're in the honeymoon phase, you're going to want to just listen and keep these in your back pocket. What else are we doing today, honey?
Then we're going to talk about some life updates, which is great. And to cap it all off, we're going to have a Reddit Reacts with our resident therapist right here, reacting to stories I find on Reddit concerning relationships. And hopefully it's going to touch onto the topic that we're talking today. But you don't know what it is about. I'm the only one who's read it. And I haven't even read the comments yet. So we'll see how that goes and we can react together to it.
Well, today we're talking about, and we're starting a series on the roommate phase.
The dreaded roommate phase.
So many of us end up at the roommate phase. We think the honeymoon phase is never going to end. We're the exception to the rule. And then one day you wake up, you're caught up in your routines, and you realize, where's the spark? What happened?
Yeah.
So go ahead, honey.
No, I totally agree. I think this is one of those topics that a lot of people can relate to. It's a very popular kind of search item or something that's a keyword. It's the roommate phase.
Yeah.
And if we would define the roommate phase, what would that just be, just as a general rule of what that is?
You used to be lovers, right? You used to have that spark and get all excited with one another. And again, that roommate phase is we have shared routines, we have shared things that we do together, but we kind of just check things off of a list together. It's no longer that kind of lover connection that you used to have.
I think that's fair. I think like roommate phase in my mind would just be, like you are sharing a space. Things have to get done.
We're paying bills together.
There's routines, jobs, things that have to get, completed. And it's almost like, hey, you do your half, I do my half. We kind of live these separate lives. And we're not one. We're not actually living a marriage together and living our good love as it should be.
And I think that just jumping right in, one of the biggest tools and things that we can do when we find ourselves there is, first of all, being honest and acknowledging what happened. Like, I feel like we're not even on that same page anymore. And then beginning by, how do we fix it? How do we get out of it? We want to submit to you. I think that it begins by remembering.
Ooh, that's going to be the first thing that we talk about.
Yes.
Is remembering. There's also going to be, this episode is going to be so good and this topic is so good that we're going to have to break this up.
And again, it's going to be a series. Yeah. It's going to be a few episodes. So today we're going to be talking about remembering.
It's almost like when Simba is going up Pride Rock, climbing the steps, and he's climbing at the climax of the whole movie, and you hear Mufasa saying, and then he roars and remembers. There's a whole like I kind of want to put that in there, like remember, like have it just playing there.
I love it. A little extra work for you. Why not?
But that's fun work. That's good times.
But here's the thing. We get through life. We're getting stuff done. At one point in our relationship, we had these shared dreams and hopes that we were working
Mm,
toward. And then sometime along the journey, rubbing shoulders, getting used to one another, our brain is now used to one another. We know each other's routines. We know what each other is
yeah,
like. We know what to expect. We can fill each other's sentences. Our brain is no longer getting that spark of the newness of this person.
yeah,
And what we want to say is that if you are in that stage, the first thing is to remember, right? And this is scripture. This is in scripture. We
right.
see this. First of all, I'm almost done reading the Torah, the first 5 books of the
Let's
Bible.
go.
Oh my God, I'm crawling out of
Imagine the
Deuteronomy.
disciples, they had to, when they were going through school, had to memorize every word of that
That's
to get
amazing.
to become a rabbi and go through that. Can you imagine memorizing all those 5 books?
I kind of want to make it like a life goal, maybe
To
just for
memorize the
fun.
Torah?
I mean, these Jewish teenagers were able to do it back then.
Oh my
I think
goodness.
I can do it. I don't know.
That
Maybe
would
I'll
be
memorize
that would
the
be
Gospels
crazy.
instead, because come on now. But over and over and over again, God would carry his people out of something. And he wouldn't just say, now keep your eyes on the promised land and keep going. He would say, no, no, no. Hold up, pause, set up a stone of remembrance. And when your children ask you about that stone, I want you to tell them exactly what I did here,
Yeah.
right? It wasn't just this focus on the dreams, on the hopes, on tomorrow. And I think, especially in our time, because we see all these reminders of what is possible, of what can be, so many of us are anxiously like running toward the future.
Yeah. Wow.
And we don't pause to just remember what we've already walked through. And so, anything that you want to kind of add there?
I would the one thing that I would say is like this is a very common thing. So let's say that you are in the roommate phase. Don't feel bad. Like literally, I think you
A
mentioned it like
100%.
that if after there's a certain amount of time
18 months to 2 years.
that yeah, like there's going to be that honeymoon phase
Yeah,
and that's
because
going
your
to
brain, again,
exactly.
it's still getting used to this human. Like your neurons are like, oh my gosh, like what is
Exactly.
this? You're like filling in the blanks. And God created that for a purpose. That's
Right.
beautiful.
Right. And it's like there's going to be those moments where you're going to kind of drift into a roommate phase and there's seasons for it. So don't beat yourself up
Mm-mm.
over that you are in this phase. It's very common. Lots of people go into that phase and can come out of it, which is what we're talking about.
Yes, I think most couples will go to that phase.
Yes.
And I will also say that that's not always a bad thing. Sometimes you're just in survival mode and you have to get through
That's
the
so good.
week, through the 2 months, through the whatever. Like it's okay. It's also not a like a verdict on your relationship that just
That's
because we're
right.
now
Yes,
in the
that's it.
roommate phase, it's over for us. We're done.
We've lost everything.
Yes, we lost the love,
Lost the
so
spark.
that's
There's
it.
no
It's
point
time
in the
to end the
marriage.
relationship.
Yeah.
Not at all.
That's a good
Sometimes it
point.
can serve a purpose. And then when you're out of that survival mode, right? And this connects even with Maslow's hierarchy of needs in therapy. If, and this happened, by the way, in Sri Lanka, like
Whoa.
a tsunami comes in and entire villages were washed away, and a bunch of like therapists, counselors come in and they're helping people. And it's like, we need band-aids. We need to put our house up.
Ooh.
We,
I see what you're
you know
saying.
what I mean? Like, so with Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you gotta have those basic survival needs met before you could get to self-actualization. And the same thing
Yeah.
applies to relationships. Like, if you are in a crisis mode, right? Like, I'm thinking back to even finishing grad school.
Yeah.
Like, I'm getting my practicum hours done. I'm exhausted. You're exhausted because you're helping me and you're just
Man,
like
for real.
carrying me through.
I didn't carry you through. I just made sure you had
You did.
snacks and
He did.
caffeine. That was basically my job.
But there was a period there where I was so zoned in that we weren't maybe prioritizing date nights and things like that. But
We're
we
just
had
trying to make
made
it through.
enough deposits in other parts of our relationship where that didn't become a crisis for us.
Right.
And so, again, if you're in the roommate phase, first of all, pause. It's not a verdict that your relationship is over, that that's it, the spark is gone and you can never get it again. It's okay. Most relationships will go through it. And once you're past the crisis mode and the survival mode, the first step to getting past that roommate phase is, again, to begin remembering.
Yeah, that's the first step that we would say is
Mhm.
remember.
Yeah,
But
so
let's
just to
talk about
kind
that.
of continue anchoring what we're talking about, I want to give you guys an example of God commanding us to remember. And this is out of Joshua 4. And he pretty much had carried them through, and he says to Josh, he gave Joshua instructions about setting up these memorial stones. So we're reading out of Joshua 4 verses 5 to 7, but the whole chapter is really about this. And it says, and Joshua said to them, so after God had given him the instructions, he's passing this along to the Israelites. He says, pass on before the ark of the Lord your God into the midst of the Jordan, and take up each of you a stone upon his shoulder, according to the number of the tribes of the people of Israel, and this may be a sign among you. When your children ask in time to come, what do those stones mean to you? Then you shall tell them that the waters of the Jordan were cut off before the ark of the covenant of the Lord. When it passed over the Jordan, the waters of the Jordan were cut off. So these stones shall be to the people of Israel a memorial forever. This happens again in Exodus 17. God asks Moses to build an altar. And again, this happens throughout scripture. And even in the New Testament, honey, where Jesus, right, he sets up communion.
That's right.
Take this in remembrance of me
Every time that you gather. So it's like
every
a
time.
consistent reminder.
So, when was the last time that you, in your relationship, and I'm not talking to you, honey. I'm talking to you listening, you
Jeez,
tuning in
okay.
right
Whoa.
now, whether you're driving to work, maybe you're on the treadmill right now, you're getting some chores done. When was the last time that you paused to even think about what God has already done in your relationship? And when we talk about remembering, I'm not just talking about remembering the good and
Ooh.
romanticizing what has been. I mean, even remembering those difficult times that, man, we didn't think we were going to make it through. And here we are to tell the tale.
Remember when we didn't have enough money? We couldn't pay bills
Mm-hmm.
and we struggled during that, but
Mm-hmm.
we made it through together.
Yep.
The Bible even talks about that. Like in Deuteronomy 8, it literally talks about remember when I led you through the wilderness. And he's talking to the people of Israel, like, remember that time. And that was not a happy time.
Mm-hmm.
It was not a good time. It was a time of they were in disobedience and they had to walk into a desert and for 40 years not be in their
Yep.
promised land. But what was he doing? He's like, remember that. Don't forget what happened.
Yeah. And the interesting thing about that, honey, is that Harvard, they did a long-term study on happiness. And they had these couples that they followed along for decades. And it's one of the most thorough uh, studies that we have on happiness to date. And one of the things that they found is that the couples that stayed together and that were happy, right? They all were from different socioeconomic classes. They all were different races, different, all the things. But one of the things that these couples that were happy had in common is that they had this idea of you and I versus the world. They had overcome things together. And they saw that as something that built them together. And in that, instead of competing with one another, they were like holding hands. It's you and I. We got this. We're going to get through this. And as they retold those things, it was
Mm,
like, man, that was hard, but we made it through. And I think that that's the worldly wisdom that connects with what God already calls us to do. But remembering allows us again to realize, no, we haven't just come this far for nothing. We've walked through some stuff. We've grown. We've
yeah.
experienced the hand of God in our relationship, in our lives.
Yep.
And it's been worth it.
That's so good, babe. That is so good. I think sometimes, there's times that we think, well, I just want a prophetic word from God. I just need to hear from him on something, or I need to go to this conference and God needs to speak to me.
Mm-hmm.
Where really, in a lot of instances, it would just be beneficial if you just remembered what he already did and let
Yeah.
that speak to you.
Yeah. And I think part of the reason why God calls us to remember, why God called them to set up the memorial stones, why Jesus calls us to remember him every time that we gather, is because naturally we have a negativity bias.
Ooh, that's so good. That's really true.
Psychologically, right? We get 100 good comments,
Oh, yeah.
but we'll remember the one comment that was negative.
And, I thought that I was above that. I really did.
Mhm.
I thought, oh, negative comments aren't going to bother me until there is a negative comment. And then you go, man, that's the only thing I can really think about.
Oh my it's so
It's like
true.
99% of all the support. That's incredible. But there's just this one negative comment. And it's like, you want to make changes and do all these things based upon that. It was like 99% is like supporting and saying that this is great.
So because we have that negativity bias, oftentimes we can look back and again, we feel so dull. We feel so numb. We feel like we're stuck in this roommate phase because it's like, man, we've been doing this for how long? But in actuality, that's not the reality.
Mm,
That's not the reality. We've walked through it, so we don't see it as a big deal already. But my gosh, would 15-year-old be amazed at how far you've come,
wow.
at what you've accomplished, at what you've done. And so if we do have that negativity bias, then even looking back at things, right, we're going to automatically see them perhaps in a bad light. Again, we're going to minimize them.
Yeah.
And so taking that time to remember to and one of the products that I hope that the Good Love Co comes out with, and one of the things that I want to design is something to aid couples in that in a beautiful way to commemorate the things that God has done.
Yeah.
And we think oftentimes of like births, which are beautiful, anniversaries. But what about the times when you really did not think that you were going to get through that? You did not know how you were going to cover your bills. You really had no idea how you were going to finish that thing. And you did. You did together,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. It's like remembering even your prayers that were answered, that you were praying
Mhm.
for 2 months, 3 months, whatever the case is, and bang, it finally happens. God came through and did something that only he could do. And we kind of just then let it go. And it's just like, yes, thank you, God, and we celebrate it, but we don't maybe commemorate it or write it down and then revisit, like, remember he did that? Like, he did that. He did that thing for us. And we were praying so hard. Do you remember how difficult that was?
Yeah.
And how in what mind space we were? And now not look at where we are and what he did.
And that's such a perfect example because there's prayers that I've written down and then they were answered and they came and went. And I didn't even really recognize the blessing that it was in that moment,
Yeah.
until maybe sometimes I go back and reread those things and I'm like, oh, that came to pass. That actually happened. And the unfortunate thing, honey, is that if we don't stop, literally like stop in our tracks from running to the next thing, we will spend a whole life like that.
Mm.
One story that I heard recently that was just broke my heart was about a couple and they'd worked decades, finally retired. They put off traveling, they put off all these dreams, this time together that they wanted to have because they were working. They were working so that they could retire and save up all this money and finally do
Right.
all the things. Baby, like 2 years into the retirement, he got dementia. He can no longer barely remember anything. And they're into retirement now a little bit longer. But all those plans that they had, running and running and running, like now you have to pause and remember those moments, and
Because you don't have anything that you're going to be able to now, or those things that you expected to attain and that you were going to go do. Because we're not promised tomorrow. We're not promised anything. And I think what you're talking about is like we could spend so much time thinking of the
a
future,
lifetime.
and we could think about like, hey, when I finally hit this thing, and when I finally get to be this type of person, and I have this body, have this money, then I'm going to enjoy life and I'm going to make memories
Exactly.
then, instead of remembering the memories that you already have and focusing on the here and now and remembering what God has done. It doesn't mean that we forget completely about our
Mhm.
future and we don't have plans and
No,
stuff.
not at all.
We're not trying to say anything like that.
And again, this is just the first installment,
Yes.
first step when you're stuck in the roommate phase.
Yes. Remember what the Lord has done.
Remember what he's already done. You're minimizing and forgetting the wonder that it is to be together. And so, culturally speaking, in our home, I refuse to live a life where we're just striving and running to the next thing. The temptation is easy.
It
We
is.
fall into it every other day, and then we have to pause and pull one another out of it
Yep.
because these are the good old days.
I mean, even that's so good.
It's
I
happening
love that saying.
right
That's
now.
exactly right. It's happening right now.
Right now.
Yes.
These are the days. I saw something and it just gave me so much perspective. And it was like one day you're going to look back and you're just going to be thankful for the days when you were all alive.
Oh wow. That's crazy.
That'll
Wow.
be the best memory. It's just, and we take that for granted.
Yep. Because we're so focused on the future.
On the next thing, on that. And psychologically, baby, we never arrive.
Yeah.
That's why when you thought that when you bought that purse, you thought that when you got that car, you thought that when
Yeah.
you got married, that you were finally going to be happy, and then you got there and you weren't. Let this be a reminder that that way of thinking and mindset, moving about life, we're just running. Okay, and we're going to stay in this roommate phase because whatever, when we get to that, then we'll finally be happy. No. By then, you've lost so much connection.
Wow.
By then, again, like there could come a diagnosis that you would have never anticipated and planned. So, how about we pause here and now? Let's just you and I remember what God has already done. Let's set up those memorial stones so that one day when we're feeling super discouraged, or one day when our kids ask, we can say, oh,
Yeah.
that's when God did this, that, and the other.
I love that, babe. I think, like, just practically speaking, one of the major things that it has done for us, especially when our faith is low, which happens.
Happens.
It happens when we are just like, are you kidding me? Another trial, another thing that we have to worry about. And one of us thank God these usually don't happen when we're both feeling down.
It has happened in that.
It has happened. But imagine for a second, like, well, if one of us is at least having a strong faith, what is the thing that we normally say? We're going to say, like, babe, remember what God did in this exact same situation. Did he fail us back then? No, he didn't fail us back then. Are we going to be the first people on the entire world that God is going to fail? Like, did he just decide that for Josh and Paulina,
Forgetting about y'all.
he decide, you know what? I'm going to start a new thing, and it's just going to be failing Josh and Paulina. Everybody else, I'm not going to fail, just them. And I'm not going to show up for them when they need it and how they need it, or whatever the case might be. That's not going to happen.
No, it's not.
And in those moments of weakness, remembering what he has done has brought us through so much.
100%. And so just being honest and vulnerable, one of the things that we're going through right now is, I worked at an organization that I loved. I worked there for 7 years. Love them. Had a growth path there. Same for you. You worked at a place for 3 years, leadership position. And yet things happened. And I'll share just kind of my experiences. Yours is completely different.
Yeah.
But obviously I felt called to be in marriage therapy, to be in this field, because I really believe that our marriages within the church should be different because of Jesus. They should be. Our statistics should not be the same.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's just something that I'm passionate about.
And you felt that calling. You just knew that God was driving you in this direction, and you had to follow it.
And there came a point that for me to finish grad school and finish practicum, which is when you're still in grad school, you start to see clients, you need to get 300 hours. So in order for me to meet those hours and go to grad school, I could no longer be traveling for my job like I used to.
Right.
It just wasn't feasible. So we made a decision. I ended up interviewing at this organization that I thought was one thing, ended up being another thing. But anyway, I interviewed at this place, got hired in a seemingly supernatural way.
Yeah.
So I let go of that job that I had for 7 years
With good
that gave
salary,
us a great salary, loved the people there. I mean, to this
benefits,
day,
position,
some of the
career.
best managers that I have ever had. Shout out Andrea and Miriam. I love you ladies. And Kathy. Um, but some of the best people that I've worked with to step into this new role. I worked at this organization last year, graduated, finished my hours. God was so
And this is
faithful in
a
that.
organization that was in your field. It's
100%.
marriage focused, so
I'm
it's a
telling you,
beautiful
like,
thing.
it really seemed, I felt that I could be there my whole career.
Yeah.
I thought that that was it. And yet, things didn't turn out to be the way that I hoped that they were.
Yeah.
Not because God was wrong. I don't think that God led us astray. Like, it definitely served its purposes in many ways.
100%. It did.
And at the same time, come October of last year, when I had a director role on the table, a dream schedule, was going to be making good money. And yet there was a disconnect entirely between kind of the mission and the vision of that organization and where they were going and what we know that we're called to.
Yep.
And there came the moment of, are we going to leave this security again? Like, are we really about to do this?
Yeah.
And we prayed about it. We sought counsel and we made the decision. This isn't the right fit. I'm not willing to compromise on these very important things for me for a salary.
Yep.
And even as they offered a severance for me to like shut my mouth and not ever say anything, you were like, don't sign that. We're not doing
We're
that.
not going to sign that. No.
But all that to say, honey, from then to now, finances have been hard.
Yeah. Even when you first left the first job, finances were tough. It wasn't that it wasn't like this was going to be an additional cut on all of those things.
This is a whole other story that we need to get into one day in detail.
It is, but like we made that decision. Yes, we prayed about it. We thought about it, but we also saw that when you left your first job, God didn't forget about us. He took care of us.
Yeah.
And we were okay. We made it through.
I'm talking about like a 50% reduction.
And then now it was like, okay, now you're going to leave again, another position with potential and money and all these types of things. And one of the things that has helped us was like, well, he didn't fail us then. We've never gone without food and things that we needed.
Covering our mortgage and
bills have been paid. Yeah. Maybe we're not like going off crazy.
We still have no baseboards in our house.
We don't have baseboards in our house. But you know what? We had to take a pause on the house renovations. But he still hasn't left us or forsaken us. He's been with us through the whole thing. And when I remember those decisions that we made, I feel joyful and happy. And like, that's right. We did that. Yeah, it's been tough. It hasn't been easy. But there's so much joy because it's like, we're doing it together. We're not going to compromise. We're not going to, do things for money and like, for what? For what? Right? Like, who knows what could happen to that organization if they're even around in 20 years or whatever it might be. Like, we don't know. You don't know anything that the future might hold. But if you follow God and what he has for you, that's what's most important. And we did that. And we're walking through that together.
And in these 7-8 months where it's been challenging. It's been
absolutely.
I mean, I've been working since I was 18. I have not ever struggled financially. Having one another to say, but honey, remember when God did, it's kept us. It's increased our faith. And truly, we've seen the work of God
do insane things.
Do incredible things. So we're not saying put yourself in dire situations.
Put yourself through the ringer so that you...
No. But we
put yourself through some crazy boot camp so that you draw closer together.
No. That's not what we're encouraging. But we are saying in life, there are going to be difficult moments, difficult seasons. Sometimes that looks like the roommate phase. Sometimes that looks like illness. Whatever that looks like for you. We want to encourage you to, first off, before we get into all the funsy, cutesy things, we're getting into novel experiences next week. Stop, pause, remember. Set up those memorial stones. that the both of you can look to and say, but you know what? God carried us through then. Remember when, I mean, when we couldn't even look at one another, and yet there was joy the following morning. Remember
Yep.
when we were so disconnected, or remember when we didn't think we would be able to get married because of our family or because we didn't have enough money, and we did, and it was a beautiful day. Set up those memorial stones and
So good.
remember.
And so I think practically speaking, because
Mhm.
I love practical information, like
Yes, you
just
do.
practical, will be on my end.
Mhm.
Um, Something that we did, even with our first year of dating, was try to do that, not knowing all this information and these milestones and these altars and all these types of things. But we tried to build these things to actually help remember our last years.
And I'm sorry, I just want to clarify. I'm sorry,
Okay.
honey, because altars can be like for idolizing things, right? It's where you
Yeah,
set up idols. So we're not idolizing our marriage. That is not what we're doing. What we're doing again is setting up these stones of remembrance to remember God's hand, to
it's remember
remember
God. Yeah.
what he has done, to again look back and push forward in those moments when we need it.
That's a very good key thing to remember in this. Any type of remembrance, what like the language using altars, these stones, these writings, whatever the case might be, it's to remember God's hand and what he has done.
Mhm.
Because we can do all these amazing things. Who cares? God gives us the breath to be able to do anything. So
100%.
we recognize him and remember him through the process. That's really good.
So practical.
So practical things, I think how what is one way that we have done that in our marriage, and you've actually have some evidence of what we did on one of our anniversaries. You created this beautiful
Mhm.
scrapbook.
So actually, this is the one and only scrapbook that I've ever created, and I want to create more.
Yeah.
And like I said, I don't know if it's going to be like a scrapbook, junk journal, guided scrapbook
Hmm.
situation, but stay tuned, y'all, because I think that's going to be one of our Good
Yeah.
Love Co products. And also, part of why I want to do that is because honestly, the scrapbook industry is behind. Like, I tried. This was, I mean, 2019. How long is that? 6 years ago?
Yeah.
And this was the cutest thing I could find, which I thought was ugly from then and is still ugly now.
I love it.
But
It's great.
also, I want to create a product where it can hold the page as well, and then it's preserves it because, like, golly, you would think this was 30 years ago. But anyway, what I'm going to do, honey, is I'm going to open up to a random page because we haven't looked through the scrapbook in a
Yeah.
long time. And I just want to see kind of what memory it brings up, what it
Sure.
sparks,
Do it.
and see what we remember. Okay.
Random page. Go for it.
Uh-oh, something fell out.
It's okay.
Okay. Oh, so here's what's coming up. Part 7, which may have been my first trip to Texas. Tukey. Look, the day you made me the best breakfast tacos, and I had never had them. Look at how cute you look.
Oh, that's nice. Yes, and you came to the church. Then we went and saw Leon Bridges live
That was
that
so
night
beautiful.
because we were doing long distance. So then every time that you would visit or I would go visit, it would be like a chapter in the story, which was kind of the theme of the scrapbook.
Yes.
And so
So
we
each
would keep
chapter
little
was a
things.
trip of us being
Yes, and
together.
every little bit was kind of like preserved, and you have actual parts from it, like little Topo Chico
Oh,
caps and stuff. So
my
we
heart.
could remember, and there was moments, and I remember there was moments where it's like long distance was hard and it was tough, and these memories helped us
Oh
to
my gosh.
stay true to it and to continue moving forward, because it was worth the long distance. It was worth going through that tough season.
Honey.
This is beautiful.
Even remembering that, like we really did long distance.
Yeah, this reminds us.
And we would go like 8-9 weeks apart, just wishing to be together. And sometimes I take that for granted
Yeah.
that I could just be cuddled up right next to you on the couch.
And that is exactly what this is
Ugh,
about. That's so beautiful.
It works, y'all.
It does. It actually is really great because it's really sweet to see
Didn't it
these
just
again.
warm your heart?
Yeah, and what's really interesting is that like, you gave that to me on one of our anniversaries. On that same anniversary, I created my own version of this without us even knowing. It was
Oh, that's
completely separate. We had no idea I had no idea you surprised me with this.
Mhm.
And then I surprised you with a video that I edited, very much on brand because
Literally.
literally I edit these videos and podcasts and everything.
Crazy.
But it would take all the videos and pictures from that year, and I have them uploaded to YouTube, like, on my personal page, private, nobody can see it because there's copyright issues from the song. But, it's just so interesting that, like, that was my version of creating a remembrance. We can go back and watch those videos, and it puts us right back into those moments. We
It's
look
so
at these
beautiful.
pages, we go right back into those moments. And maybe you don't do those things, but maybe your thing is writing and journaling, and then you can go back and just periodically see some of those days that you were writing about.
Mhm.
I mean, there's so many options and things that you could do to, I mean, even if, like, you love photography
Mhm.
and just make these beautiful albums. It's just, what are those things that you can do to remember these
Mhm.
incredible moments that you're having currently, or even the difficult moments that you made it through?
Yeah. Because right now, maybe it seems like the ordinary, perhaps, or maybe you recognize right now that it is extraordinary, and then in the future, the negativity bias kicks in and you just don't remember it or it seems dull. And so, like, let's go ahead and spark that within us.
So good.
And I don't know, there's blessing to it. There's increased resilience and just warmth when you do that with the one that you love.
We may or may not have watched those videos, and it led to some fun intimacy moments. So,
This
guys,
guy. Oh my
just
gosh.
saying. I mean, going back, reigniting the flames and the fires, it leads to things. I'm just saying. Why you blushing?
Because you don't need all that to.
No, but I'm just saying. Like,
But it did. It did.
but you mentioned that going back and reviewing these things brings a
Oh,
intimacy,
I see
brings
what
a
you're saying.
warmth, and it brings a closeness. And it's true. It may not lead to that, but it might lead to other, like, just that you are closer, more bonded,
Yeah.
and remember the things that God has done in your life.
Yeah. And so it's a spiritual discipline to remember. And we see that biblically again, where God commands us, hey, stop the running and remember. It's a psychological discipline to get out of that hamster wheel, especially in our Western cultures of just running and continuing to go. It is countercultural to instead pause and remember what we've been through, that we're going together. Again, remember that Harvard study that we talked about and how that you and I versus the world mentality, how powerful that can be. And we know it will be a blessing for you. It has been for us.
I love that. And I love remembering all our amazing moments,
Yeah.
and always going through that, and just how much of a blessing it is in our life. It really is.
So we're shifting gears and we are actually going to jump into our Reddit Reacts shortly. If you've made it this far into the episode, we want you to know that we're so thankful that you're here.
Yeah.
It really is such a blessing for us. And as we're slowly growing our little corner of the internet, we're glad that you're here. We're glad that you're a part of it. And we hope that this was a blessing for you. And it really does help us a lot when you stick around, watch till the end.
I mean, if you've watched to this part, you might as well just like the video and
Yeah,
follow. I mean, you've done this amount of work. What little bit is it to just kind of move over and just press a button?
it helps us a lot. So
It
please do.
does. It does.
And
That's the best way you could support us,
yeah.
honestly.
So before we jump into Reddit Reacts, honey, how are you doing?
Man, I am doing great. Life is good, and where do I start? Like, I've been working a lot with my dad's ministry and all these different things going on. We just did some really cool things today, which the last couple days, the last few days have been such an illuminating, incredible moments in our
Yeah.
lives. Lots of breakthroughs personally and personal growth.
Mm-hmm.
God just, like, moving, like, inside of us, like pruning branches, just so much amazing healing and growth that we're experiencing.
Yeah.
And not only that, like, also I feel like God has just been like showing us glimpses of what the Good Love Co could be in the future
What it will be in the
and
future.
what it will be in the future. And it's been really awesome to see
Yeah.
what God is doing. You know, we went to a conference,
Legacy
this last
conference in Houston.
Legacy conference in Houston.
It was incredible.
Such a good time,
I'll
honestly.
definitely be back next year. And it was small, but I think that for mature
I
believers,
mean,
it is
small. I
totally
mean,
a
it's
place
like
to go.
800 to 1,000
Well,
people
I mean,
there.
I worked
That's
at a place where the conferences were like
I know, but
massive.
like people from small churches like me, it's like that's insane.
Yeah, no, it was awesome. I
Yeah.
just think that for the work that's put into it, the content that was shared,
Oh, I see what you're saying.
I just wish that there had been double, triple the
They
amount of
will
people.
though. I mean,
I think they will.
they're on pace to do that. I mean,
Incredible.
it's
I can't wait to attend
it's
next
literally
year.
their second conference that they've done in Houston, and they're gonna just keep doing it, and it's just gonna keep growing. And it's all about disciple making
Yeah.
and people who really want to make disciples.
Mm-hmm.
And
And
I
for people who are disciples.
and for people who are disciples.
Yeah.
Like it was such a huge like encouragement, exhortation. It was such
Ugh.
a big push of like,
Encouragement.
let's go and yes, be encouraged, but like be encouraged to also go make disciples. Like there are people in your life that you could be discipling in some way.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that was such a huge push for us, and I loved it. I thought it was so
I
good.
loved it too. Yeah. I can't wait to go back next year. And just that experience of being at a conference with you, of driving out there.
We got to drive with some of our good friends,
Oh my gosh,
which was so
some of
much
our,
fun.
yeah, love them. Soap is so cute. She was introducing me as her sister. Anytime I introduce her as like my friend, she's like, "Are you for real right now?" So I just love her so. So don't introduce them as our good friends. She will.
They're literally family.
They are
Yeah, like
family.
I want to let's clarify that right now. I might go back and like where I say like friends, I'm just going to be like family.
We love them, but it was honestly
Yeah.
wonderful. We went to a delicious brunch spot
Oh
called
my gosh, Mo brunch.
Mo Brunch and Brews. It's
Yes.
Mo B+B. And it's vegan, but the food was delicious.
Look, I'm going to be the first one to tell you. I've never eaten at a vegan restaurant ever. And I would be one that would be like, yeah, I'm never going to go to a vegan restaurant. Why would I go to a vegan restaurant? And I gotta say, I was mind blown with how good the food was.
Yeah. There was live music too, and it was just
There was a guy playing the
great.
saxophone that was
What an
unreal. The
experience.
band was fire.
So if you're in Houston, go check it out on a Good Friday night. You will not regret it.
They were fire.
They
And
were.
and they have coffee during the days as well.
Yeah, they're
The
known
coffee
for their brunch. We went for dinner, but it was delicious.
and they have vinyls in the restaurant
Yes.
too, which you can go buy vinyls. Like it is just
Such a
cool
cool spot.
such a cool spot.
And I also love places like that just inspire me, because it's more than just delicious food, like that just inspire me and to dream for what God has next for us, you know? So that's fun.
Yeah.
And as for me,
Yeah, tell me about what's going on in your life.
goodness, a lot of growth, I really do feel like we're going to look back at this episode maybe one day and be like, yeah, we were on the money, because like God is just moving in really powerful ways. Like Bible verses that I've maybe read my whole life are really coming to life. Again, like you said, pruning. And pruning isn't always fun. It is painful. But we have a really good shepherd that's right there with us. I
Yeah.
feel like we're experiencing the nearness of our Heavenly Father.
Mm.
Like you see how like Anthony with like Amir and the boys, like he like sees them, like he's attentive to them.
Watching after him. Hey, come back over here. Don't do
But
that.
I feel that nearness from our Heavenly Father.
Yeah.
Like right now, especially in the season. I know he's always here, but I really feel him here with us. Like, no, like facing me.
Not just in the blessing in the mountaintops, but in like the
100%.
like in the pruning and like I'm gonna
Yes.
do this. You're not gonna like it, but it's gonna help you to produce more fruit because I love you.
Exactly. So we're going through that, and
Yeah,
it's
so
been growing and challenging. It's funny because before I met you, I was like, Lord, I want to live out radical faith. That's what I want. And then of course it's like, oh, and then
okay.
the
Here
same
you
thing
go.
happened this year. I was like, Lord, I want new skins for the new wine.
Wow.
And sure enough, the old skins are being done away with. But
And we'll probably talk about it at some point.
yeah,
Like
for
we'll dive
sure.
into it just because it is like, even this content, whatever it is that we
Mhm.
talk about, is an overflow of what God is doing in our hearts.
100%. And another really cool thing right now is I'm growing as a therapist more than I ever have
Yeah.
before at the place that I am now. And I'm going to be seeing 21 to 25 clients coming up very soon, which is a lot for a therapist. But I'm excited. I think I'm ready. I'm ready for the challenge. And I've just really been enjoying that part of me really being sharpened and growing lately.
I love that, babe.
Thank you, honey. So, with that said,
With that said,
let's jump in to Reddit Reacts, Reddit Reacts, Reddit Reacts, Reddit
oh my
Reacts.
goodness, that was just so that you guys know, like, I have not even heard that version. He literally just made that on the spot.
Wasn't it amazing?
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Thank you.
But, we're probably not going to use it. But that's okay. It's okay. We'll just have some fun right now. And if
Okay.
you want,
I mean, when you come up with a jingle and a situation, then I'll stop. But till then, I'll keep them coming.
on today's episode of Reddit Reacts,
Mhm.
okay, you are a therapist.
I am.
I am your husband.
You are.
And I like to go onto Reddit and find stories that you can react to specifically on relationships, marriages, dating, and it usually covers a topic that we're talking about in our podcast episode. And so I found a couple things, and just really quick, this is not actual therapy.
Yeah, let
so
me-
go ahead, give a little
Sure.
quick disclaimer on that.
This isn't therapy. Engaging with any content from the Good Love
Yeah.
Co. does not establish a therapist client relationship. This is just for entertainment purposes. We're talking through this. It's not necessarily how I would actually do therapy in the room because this isn't
Yeah,
enough
that's a good
context,
point.
right?
And you're not going to make big reactions or laugh or do those types of things.
Right, because I also have to be mindful of the client in the room. So this is not therapy. This again isn't how I would go ahead and move along in an actual therapy session.
Yeah.
However, of course, being a therapist has changed the way that I think and conceptualize relationships. So that's really what we're diving into.
So let's talk about the two options that you have. You have two options. First option is I, a 28-year-old male, keep forgetting things that are important to my girlfriend, a 26-year-old female. Please advise.
Dude, write them down.
I love the please advise.
I want to do that one straight off the bat.
And then
Come on now. Write it in Google Calendar. Like, what can I tell you?
Okay. The second one is boyfriend and I recall the same day, very all caps differently.
Mm-hmm.
Which one do you want to choose
The first
today?
one.
First one still?
Let's do it.
Let's go for it. Okay, here we go. What we're going to do is we're going to read through the opening, get an initial reaction, but then start going through the comments. This one's juicy. There's lots of comments.
Let's do it.
Here we go. I have made several promises over the past 6 months that always seem to slip my mind. I keep forgetting things that are important to my lovely girlfriend. Nothing I have done is on purpose or with malice.
Mm-hmm.
If I recall correctly, they're all related to making plans or keeping them. I recently forgot that I sent her a text claiming I would buy dinner for today, Valentine's Day. Ooh, not on Valentine's Day.
I love that he's like claiming, like you could literally confirm whether you sent the
Literally.
text message or not.
I completely forgot that I sent that text, and she was devastated when I arrived empty-handed. Fair. This has been the 4th time I've ever let her down by disappointing her with my behavior. I should say that I didn't even remember sending her that text at all. I have recently become swamped in my life, and yesterday I had an important meeting that went well into the morning. I don't even know why I promised to bring her food and that she would cook. When I knew some of the grammar is a little messed up.
Okay.
When I knew I had zero time. I guess I was just excited to see her after being away from her for a week.
Mm-hmm.
I met a teary-eyed girlfriend when I got home. She has given me chances and has been very clear on remembering things that are important to her. She does remember everything like a hawk. I wonder where that came from, that saying. I felt stupid and clueless as I had no explanation regarding my behavior. She said she's tired of being disappointed and she's given me more chances than anyone in her life.
Mhm.
I feel dreadful as this woman is the love of my life. I care for her so deeply. I can't believe I keep forgetting about these things.
Mhm.
I believe that I have to stop committing to things via text and writing down plans, no matter how trivial they may seem. Example, date night at home or movie night. So, what do you want the TLDR?
What's a TLDR?
Huh?
What is that?
That's like the summary at the end. Too long something. I forgot. It's an acronym. I can be a forgetful jerk, remembering things. This is like the summary that he
Mhm.
gives at the end to everybody. I could be a forgetful jerk, remembering things my girlfriend cares about. She's wonderful and doesn't forget anything significant to me. What is wrong with me? Am I too selfish? Should I do anything other than set reminders and write stuff down?
Mhm.
Initial reactions.
Initial reactions for me is that it seems a little silly. Like, dude, come on, set up a reminder. But I can appreciate, first of all, his, like, he's lamenting, like, dang, I got it wrong again. Like, you could
This is
tell
my
it
girlfriend,
hurts
love of
him.
my life.
And he's saying she's the love of my life. But at the end of the day, we have to be mindful of of what we are communicating to our significant others through our actions, right?
Mm,
You can say she's the love of your life all the time and she can hear that, but your actions are not matching that. You are communicating to her that she doesn't matter enough for you to remember something as simple as grabbing dinner, right? That's the message that she's getting. So I would imagine that the inner dialogue for her is he doesn't really like me that much. What is wrong with me that he can't even remember something that simple? Why am
wow.
I not more important to him? And I think that when we really grasp that, like, what is that message that my partner is receiving when I do this trivial thing that seems so simple? It sparks us to action. In this case, to remember. And I disagree with his conclusion of like, maybe I should stop making commitments. Maybe I should like lower the bar for myself. I think on the contrary, when you send her a text and you make that commitment, if anybody happens to be watching that's running into this issue, set the reminder immediately. Set
Yeah.
it in our day and age with all the technology that we have, there really is no excuse. I'm sorry. You can set up, I forget birthdays all the time. So what did I do? I texted all my friends, hey, send me your birthdays, your husband's birthdays, and all your kids' birthdays. And I put it all on my calendar because they matter to me,
Yeah.
you know? And so with us, we're not going to remember all the things. Set it up in your calendar. If there is a commitment that you made and you can't remember, set the alarm for 5:55 when you know that you're leaving the office so that it reminds you to go ahead and do that. To place a DoorDash order, in fact, that will just be delivered to the house. But that it's not fair for you to now say, so let me stop making commitments because then
No,
I
of
won't
course.
disappoint her. No, because then the communication, the underlying message that she is receiving, that I'm not important enough to you, I don't matter enough to you, I'm not a priority,
That's
is
what I was gonna
still
say.
being communicated.
You're letting her know you are not a priority.
Mhm.
And like, dude, you have a job. Like, you have commitments and things there. Are you just forgetting all of those things too? Or did you prioritize those
Mhm.
the way that they're supposed to be because you have a boss, a manager that's going to check in on those and keep you accountable to those? So if you can do it there and you can do it in other places, then you should be able to do it here.
Yeah. And here's the thing that's hurts my heart is that I'm sure that maybe at work when he's going into a difficult meeting, she may be in the back of his mind of like, I'm going to do this because I want to make this money so I can save up for that ring for her. So
Mhm.
she may very well be in his mind and he's forgetting these commitments that he's made to her. And yet, we cannot deny again the message that you are giving, even though you're saying she's the love of your life. And I believe you that you care for her. Our messages matter. Even if our
Mm.
intentions are good, our messages matter. So set up the reminders,
Yeah.
write it on your wherever you have to write it down so that you can build back that trust with her. Because the cool thing is, it's happened 4 times. You definitely have to rebuild that trust, but you're still early on enough where you can make that up. You can make those
Of
deposits to
course.
kind of shift that mindset. for her.
The only way that you're going to change your mind is by starting to follow through with your commitments
Yep.
and being consistent with that.
Yep.
Until you do that, she's not going to believe you.
Yep.
So you have to prove to her otherwise. So, is there anything else that you want to say before we get into the comments? We haven't read the comments yet.
No, let's
I'll
go.
be
Let's
reading
jump
these
into the
for
comments.
the first time as well. Okay, here we go. First comment from Fake Pre-War Book. Treat agreements you make with her, including plans and offers, with seriousness that you treat work commitments. Do you regularly miss work meetings? Probably not. Use this mindset and these tools when scheduling with your poor girlfriend. It's like, dang, he's coming at you. Like, your poor girlfriend.
Honey, that's exactly what you said.
Nice.
It's a good point.
Next one. I would assume you have a smartphone. Set up reminders at the end of the workday to remind you. Example, pick up food. Being forgetful at times is okay, but doing it consistently, you got to get something that helps you remember tasks.
Mm-hmm. And you could do an easy habit stack right there. Like when you make that commitment, again, immediately you set the alarm. You immediately set up the reminder so that, because if you do it at the end of the workday, like by then he's already forgotten. So just do it immediately so that you are reminded at the end of the workday.
We have the original poster responding to that.
Ooh, what did he say?
Hello, thanks for responding. Yes, I have a smartphone. Funny thing is, I keep a notepad file on there with her name as as the title. In the file, I list her favorite foods, her pet names, clothing size, things I like, things like that. I still can't seem to remember small things like, hey, I'll bring food. I'll try to write things down as soon as I send the message.
Perfect.
Okay, that's good.
That's so sweet. You had something similar like that for me.
Yeah, I still have it, yeah.
Oh. I need to check. We need to update that information. Anyway.
Somebody said, Avacane said, ever hit your head really hard? Jeez.
I mean, a traumatic head injury can lead to memory loss.
Oh, wait.
He did?
He responded. He said, hey there, thanks for the response. Yes, I'm an active biker and skier. I've had several crashes in both sports where I hit my head and had no injury. I've never been hurt so much where I've been required for my head to be checked out. Edit. I always have a helmet on.
This guy's really funny and sweet. I hope that they're...
No.
How long ago is this? Like, is this an active situation?
No, it's a while ago.
I hope they're still together. I kind of want to check it.
I want to follow up on this. From my okay, so this is from Rawris. From my great-grandfather to my dad, every male has carried 3x5 cards in their pocket to take notes with. I'm slowly seeing myself, but with the Note Plus app.
Well, he's saying you're breaking promises.
Yeah.
So if you have to have a note, like men for generations have carried little note cards. And maybe that's the case, that women can be a little bit more detail-oriented, though I don't think that that's always the case.
Yeah. No, not that's not always
but
the
if
case.
you are the more forgetful one in the relationship, whether you are the man or the woman, set up the reminders.
Yeah,
because
do what
again,
you gotta do.
think of the underlying thing that you are communicating to your person.
Exactly.
That they don't matter to you, that they're not valuable enough. And one of the most beautiful things in relationship is, even if the rest of the world rejects me or doesn't like me or forgets about me, you see me, you remember me, I matter to you. And that's what we want to be communicating with our actions.
That's literally the last comment on here. N2 Tattoo says, she equates you remembering how much you care. And I think that is a pretty fair assessment.
I love it.
Yeah. So there you go. There is your Reddit Reacts.
There's our segment of Reddit Reacts. We hope that you enjoyed it. What did you think about it?
What is your reaction? What pieces of advice do you have for this person? What should they do?
And if that is something that you've done in your relationship, how did you overcome that? We want to know.
Yeah. It's important to have your word matters. What you say matters. Following up on what you say literally is your reputation. So
yeah. And it matters what we're communicating with our words and definitely with our actions as well. So
that's right.
Follow through.
So that was the episode, this week's episode. Episode 14 in the books.
Thank you so much for tuning in.
Yeah.
Again, if you have made it this far, we love you. We love you.
We love you. You're a real one.
Comment a yellow heart so that we know that you made it to this point. And make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe. Again, we're so glad that you're here. We're thankful that of all the things you could be listening to, you've tuned in, and we'll see you next week.
Yes. Thank you. Bye.
You're my sky,